All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to go ahead and tackle a lesson that all has to do with four-sided shapes, or these shapes are called quadrilaterals. Remember that word quadrilaterals. These are all four-sided shapes. Now, this lesson has a lot of vocabulary to it, so we're going to go ahead and tackle that vocabulary right now. It's so important that we do this. Make sure you have your math dictionary out, and we'll get ready to go. Your first line, or your first vocabulary word, is called parallel. Now, parallel means that there are two lines that are equal distance apart. These two lines, here's line 1, here's line 2, these two lines are never going to cross each other. In fact, they could go on forever in each way and they're never going to cross each other. Think railroad tracks. Now, you could have parallel lines like that, like that, like that, depending on which way they're going, as long as they never cross. Now, one more way to help you remember this is take a look at the word parallel. Notice the word parallel actually has three different lines that are parallel in it. So go ahead, I want you to take your time and put this information in your definition. Two lines that are equal distance apart. You're going to want to pause this if you're not done with this yet, because I'm going to be continuing on. So if you need more time to get your definitions in, pause it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our second word is called trapezoid. Notice I really emphasize the word trapezoid. Now, a trapezoid is a quadrilateral that only has one pair of parallel, remember that word parallel has actually parallel lines in it, of one pair of parallel sides. Now, don't be mistaken, even though this says one, it's one pair. And a pair, we should know, is actually two. So here's our first set of parallel, here's our first line, and here's our second line right there. Notice how these lines right there are parallel with each other. And that makes a trapezoid. Now, the reason I call this a trapezoid, and I really emphasize that word trap, is I want you to think, let's just pretend Mr. A is walking along, having a good time, and all of a sudden, he runs and he falls in to this trapezoid. Uh-oh, he just fell into a trap. And an easy way to remember that, trapezoid kind of looks like a trap. And if you're not done with this, go ahead and pause it as I continue. Your next word is a long one, but it's not that hard. Think about the word parallel, and just add the word ogram. This is a parallelogram. And I want you to notice again that word parallel. Remember, parallel lines, up and down, parallel lines. These lines never cross. A parallelogram, this is a big one, has opposite sides that are parallel. So here's a side and there's an opposite side. Notice how they're parallel with each other. Here's another set of sides and these opposite sides. Notice how these lines are parallel. These lines will never cross and these lines will never cross. But wait a minute, Mr. A. This line is crossing this line. Yeah, that's true. I'm talking about this line and this line are never going to cross, and then this line and this line are never going to cross each other. Okay, don't get confused with that. So opposite sides are parallel, and they are also the same length. Do you know that this side right here and this side right here actually equal each other? And that this side right here and this side right here actually equal each other. So they're not only parallel with each other, they are the same length. Also, if that wasn't enough, the opposite angles are the same size. So, if I take all of that away, and I want to look at my opposite angles, so we look at this angle, and we look at this angle. These two angles equal each other. And this angle and this angle also equal each other. So a parallelogram has a lot of things that makes it a parallelogram. So go ahead, if you haven't already, go ahead and put this definition in. Again, if you need more time, pause it, and we'll continue on. Our next word we have, again, it looks kind of like a tricky one, but it's not that bad. It is called a rhomb, and then think about the word bus. It is a rhombus. A rhombus is, now you're going to notice I put down the letter P gram. P gram stands for parallelogram, okay? it's a long word. I don't expect you to write it over and over and over again. Just understand that p-gram equals parallelogram, okay? So this is a parallelogram with 4 equal sides, okay? This is a parallelogram with 4 equal sides, meaning that this side is equal to this side, and that's equal to this side, and equal to this side. All 4 sides are equal, okay? Also remember, what makes it a parallelogram is this side and this side are parallel with each other. This side and this side are parallel with each other. Also notice, too, that if we measured the angles, oops, put the wrong thing up there. If we measured the angles, we would know that this and this are equal, and this angle and this angle are equal to each other. So that's a rhombus. Again, make sure you put this in if you haven't already. Pause it if you need to. Okay. Our next word is something that should be very familiar with you. This is simply a square. Now, a square has a lot of things to it that you might not know about. First off, a square is a parallelogram. So understand it's a parallelogram, meaning that the opposite sides are parallel and the opposite sides are equal, and that the opposite corners or opposite angles are also equal as well. That's what makes up a parallelogram, remember, and that's what a square is. It's a parallelogram. But what also a square is, it has 4 right angles. So not only are the opposite sides equal, all of the opposite sides are parallelograms, or I'm sorry, are right angles. Sorry about that. All the opposite angles are right angles. Also, it has 4 equal sides. So a square is really kind of cool because it has everything. It has equal sides, it has equal angles, all the angles are right. It seems to be the perfect shape. So go ahead and put that definition in if you haven't already. Go ahead and pause it if you need to. All right, your last vocabulary word is the word rectangle, and I know we know what the word rectangle is, but I bet you there are a lot of things about it that you might not have known about. So the first thing is, a rectangle, again, is a parallelogram. It is a parallelogram, and it has 4 right angles. Notice the squares are in there saying that this is a right angle. That's a right angle. That's a right angle, and that's a right angle. Remember, since it's a parallelogram, too, opposite sides are parallel to each other. These sides are never going to cross each other. These sides are never going to cross each other. These sides are equal to each other, and these sides are equal to each other. And these corners, angles, are equal to each other too. So that is a rectangle. Okay, so those are our vocabulary words that we need to know, and they're very important that we know them too. So if you haven't already, go ahead and put that in, and I'll talk to you later.